Welcome to the Junkyard Rat Show here in beautiful San Francisco, California, right next to the Nancy Pelosi Federal Building. Nancy, I asked her to be on my show, but she never got back to me. I was at the Tripnami, which is a weed event this weekend, and this woman was handing out flyers for her event in Sonoma, and we were using her flyer as an ashtray, and she got really upset and took the flyer back. And then she tried to get us on Sunday to go to her event again. She forgot that she took away the flyer from us on Saturday. Oh, we would have gone, but they wouldn't let my friend ride a camel, which is on his bucket list. So of course, today we got our producer Paul with us today. How you doing, Paul?
Good. What's happening, Chris?
Did you like the Chirpnami at the Midway in San Francisco?
Well, it sounds like Sunday was definitely better than Saturday. Saturday, they were kind of holding on to stuff really closely.
Yeah, it's always like the second day at these events because they never want to carry all their stuff with them.
They never want to bring it back with them because a lot of those people are from out of the area or even out of state. I noticed a few people either down San Diego or up in Oregon or
Yeah,
somewhere else. And so if they had seeds or genetics or if they had flowers of any kind, well, it's like any other time you cross over a border. If they ask you if you're bringing any fruits or vegetables,
yeah.
so
I don't know. You can't fly with weed, so you must drive it in, right? I mean,
right,
you can't legally fly with weed,
you're
so
not supposed to legally fly with it. You're not supposed to legally send it, but people do.
yeah,
And so, yeah, you're right. Plus, they're always worried about giving away everything on the first day of the event because then
yeah.
they won't have shit on the second day.
Well, they couldn't sell any weed, so my friend got a lot of free weed because he was trying to buy weed, and they're like, well, we can't sell it, but and then he asked for samples, and they hooked them up, but I got some free weed too, but it's like, I'm not like I'm not one of those people that goes from table to table talking to people. I don't know. I'm one of these people like if I'm gonna buy something, I'll be there, but I feel weird and like I feel like I'm wasting people's time just but that's why I always bring a friend of mine that likes to look at a lot of weed and buy it. So I kind of can piggyback on them and get the free stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it was a fun event. And actually, there was vendors from like Washington. So yeah, there was actually one from Bolivia, which is I don't know. And I actually met like a couple that were from Puerto Rico on Saturday, and they live in Florida. And he told me that he grows weed for cookies in Florida.
Really?
Yeah, and he was explaining the whole process. And he's like, yeah, they keep it like at 85 degrees. And he said they just keep spraying stuff on it. And I'm like, what the hell are they spraying on this weed? And he's like, it's all corporate. Like, you have a certain amount of time that they grow it. And even if it's not ready by that date, they're going to cut it. And he keeps telling me, like, yeah, I'm just a grower. I don't make the decisions. But yeah, he didn't sound happy with the whole process, but he's like, yeah, it's like all corporate, but what the hell are they spraying on the marijuana? Like, I don't get it, and then I learned my lesson. I was joking with a friend of mine who grows, and I'm like, there's nobody likes male seeds. And she told me straight up, some people like to grow with male seeds. And so I learned male seeds are appreciated by some people, but what are they spraying on the weed? It almost makes me want to grow my own stuff, like who's out there just spraying a bunch of weed? It was a fun event. The Midway. Actually, I went to the Midway in San Diego. They have a aircraft carrier called the Midway in San Diego that I went to. So it's funny. I one day I want to hop on Midway Island. I saw the movie Midway. I don't know why I love Midway. Midway is one of my favorite names and stuff. You know, it was up in the dog patch. I never been to Midway. This is my third event from David Downs. I actually emailed David about doing my podcast, but he never responded to me, which is not the worst thing, you know. I prefer they don't respond to me than they play around with me and then they don't want to do it afterwards. Like, so yeah, it's like it's crazy like that. But I had a good time. I got some good weed. I met some good people. I met one grower from Bakersfield who also works for the California Fire Department.
Really?
And yeah, and he said he was in that big fire during the summer for like 2 months. They bring him out every time there's like a big ass fire. They can't put it down. Yeah, it was pretty fun event. I like these events. I wish they would do them more often. I miss them. I mean, I used to go to I volunteered at the High Times a couple times, and I heard High Times they're not doing that well. High Times is not doing that well. I'm not sure why. I think they had a dispensary in Oakland. I don't even know if it's still open. Maybe they closed it down, but
What? The High Times dispensary? Where was it
yeah,
at?
in Oakland somewhere.
Really?
I heard that. Yeah, I don't know.
They had. That's funny. They did. It was right on the freeway. It said High Times, which I figured was their corporate office.
Well,
It's right across from Oco.
I met the new owners couple like years ago, like right. I think it was 2016, right after it got legal. I volunteered at the High Times event in Vegas, which only lasted one day, but because it was like in the Red Rock region and it was really windy and there was so much dust blowing around. They canceled the second day. But it was crazy because that's like a Native American area, so it's part of the national government. You know, it's federal government. So they wouldn't let us smoke anything. Like, I'm still like, why the hell would they have a weed event where you can't smoke
Well,
anything?
that's what they did in Vegas for a while too.
Yeah, I mean, it's silly. Like, but yeah, I met the new owners. They seem cool, but they seem like they were young and they seem like they were corporate. Like, they own a bunch of property. And I'm not sure if going into the dispensary business is ever a good idea, you know, because the weed business is hard. They should have just sold clothing and kept running events, but they don't even do events anymore. They have like events they do online, so they still have the contests. But to me, it's like I always think like, you know, they made a mistake by not hiring me. I think I could have been the one that kept this company going. I think they needed people like me, you know, who just smoke pot every day. They needed to talk to me.
They just need to talk to you.
Well, I had the guy's email, so I emailed him a couple of times, and but he should have hired me. Like I think I could have been the glue to keep the High Times train running. At least I would have told them like dispensaries is not the way to go because it's hard. I mean, it's all you know. At this point, it's like a hard business to keep running. Like I go to the lounge areas and I never see a lot of people there. And at times you think that there would be a lot of people there, like in the evenings and stuff. It doesn't seem like the lounges are really bringing people in. So
Yeah, no, well, and the funny thing is they just changed that law, so you would think that a lot of people have been waiting for this law to change, and so like even people like us that are entertainers have been waiting. Like so, Mo Greens and stuff has been doing entertainment and stuff like that. Let's say, But now people can have entertainment, they can have food, they can do a whole bunch of stuff in these VIP rooms.
Yeah, I was there on Thursday night. They had jazz, but it was like me and some other person. It's like even the entertainment isn't like bringing the people out. Like,
So are you going to well, maybe some people that go to a dispensary want to hear jazz.
well, no, the jazz was pretty good. I liked it, but I'm just saying that I'm surprised that more people don't. I was there for the bingo. The bingo brings people out, but of course I didn't win, so I didn't go back. If I
I
don't
heard.
if I don't win, why go?
So did you go to, sorry, did you go to the bongo bingo?
I don't know. I haven't been in the bongo bingo yet. Do they still do those?
Yeah, they do. And it's at like Mission Cannabis.
Oh yeah.
And all I know is that like everybody wins something.
But do you gotta pay like the $25 to get in? Or,
Yeah, I think you still have to buy
yeah,
flour from them.
yeah, because that's the other thing. That's like the one lounge I don't really go to that much. I go to Union Station. I go to the Bar Rate Coast because they got muffins and coffee.
Right.
And then I like Mo Greens because it's nearby. But Mo Greens is like my favorite, but it's probably the best one. But the problem, the Union Station is the best one to look at sports. They got four TVs. They always got sporting events going on. In fact, I was there last night watching the Chiefs beat the Chargers. And the funny thing, when the game was over, they brought it to the news and they showed Biden, and Biden he was he was doing the Kennedy Center honors, and he was telling these people that he's looking for a job. Biden is looking for a job.
That was his joke.
It was
That
his,
was his material.
he was telling these
He's
rich
looking for a
Hollywood
job.
people, "I'm looking for a job, motherfuckers." Like, hey, I'm sure Biden's gonna rake in some kind of money. I mean, they all do speeches for money.
Well, you
Yeah,
figure he's probably gonna write a book if he hasn't already.
yeah,
And a lot of these people, he doesn't even have to write it. It's almost like written for him.
yeah. Bill Clinton just came out with another book, but yeah, yeah, Bill Clinton in his new book, he was trying to act like he was really upset that Hillary lost. I was like, come on, admit it.
He would have been back in the White House again.
That is true. He would have been happy. He probably would have never lived in the White House. He'd probably been kicking at home.
You think he would have not lived in the White House?
I don't know if he
I think
would.
he would have.
He might have, but
That's where he was getting laid.
that is true. That is true. Shout out to Monica Lewinsky. I went to junior college. I went to Santa Monica College with Monica, so I feel bad for that because I always think like I could have helped her out. If I could have convinced her that I was in love with her,
I'll
got her,
tell you,
got her
considering what
pregnant, maybe married her, I could have kept her out of that problem. I
I
think,
saw a recent interview with her probably in the last few years, and holy shit, she's pretty smart and got her shit together.
oh hell yeah,
I was really surprised. I guess I only knew the public persona and I never went beyond the headlines. And so heard her talking about the shit she went through over the last, whatever it's been, what, 30 years,
yeah,
25 years, or whatever it's been. And so she was talking about the shit she went through, the shit she's doing now, which I'm trying to remember. I think she's doing like a campaign for bullying and stuff like that.
yeah. Like they don't let dummies be interns in the White House.
No, she's a smart woman.
And she went to economic school in London. I mean, she's a smart woman and stuff.
Yeah, she's hella smart.
She's hella smart, like, and yeah, she's doing the anti-bullying thing, and she's still a Democrat. So the Clintons didn't make her bitter. She's stuck with the party. She didn't like cross over like the Cheneys and stuff.
Or even like John Edwards
John Edwards, yeah.
crossing over.
Oh yeah, that guy was funny.
Wasn't his name John? John Edwards? What was it? Something Edwards.
Yeah, there was two John Edwards. Wasn't there one guy who ran for president? And then there was the other guy who did the psychic shows. Yeah,
Yeah, I forget
there
that
was two
guy's name.
John Edwards. Yeah, but yeah, like it was crazy. Like you know, actually, a couple people from my high school, they were during my high school, they were like what are they were pages in the house. Instead of going to school for a year, they went to DC and they were like the interns for the house. They're called pages.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah, that's what Monica was, right? She was a
yeah,
page.
yeah, but I think Monica was in love, She was in love with Bill Clinton. But yeah, those were fun times. And
Those were fun times,
I'm
especially if you
surprised
were Bill Clinton.
I'm surprised we don't have more of those scandals, because these people, they have sex like crazy, these politicians. I'm surprised we don't have more scandals. Remember Larry Flint, like, was giving people money to out other politicians?
Was he?
Yeah, he was giving,
Larry Flint from Hustler
yeah,
magazine.
he was giving like millions of dollars for stories to do the same thing to Republican politicians.
Who played him in that movie? I'm trying to
Oh,
remember.
it was Woody Harrelson.
Was it Woody?
It
That's
was
right.
Woody. It was Woody who played him and stuff. Yeah. It was
Yeah, if I remember right, he was pretty much the talking about pushing boundaries.
yeah. Like Larry Flint was always known as the bad one, and you had Playboy and Hugh Hefner. They were the good guys, and then the Penthouse people were in the middle. But it turns out of the three, Larry Flint was probably the best guy. Like,
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is I
yeah,
remember watching whatever it was in the movie with Woody Harrelson. That's why I was like, who played him? But it was like he did a really good job on playing him because I couldn't even remember. It was
it was
like
Woody.
it was Woody, and
I,
so I remember watching that movie, and I was like, I had watched it and go, did he really do a lot of those things or some of those things? And it was like he was an advocate for First Amendment rights.
Yeah, he won in the Supreme Court. I mean, Larry Flint won in the Supreme Court. People don't realize that. But I've seen like TV shows about the crazy shit that Hugh Hefner did and the
Well, yeah. So now,
the penthouse.
well, that's what I mean. In hindsight, when you think about it now, you think about when I saw that movie, I was like, wow, did he really do all those things? I guess he did.
Yeah,
And so it's kind of like you said. It was always they were the bad boy. Penthouse was maybe in the middle, and Playboy was the more GQ or the more acceptable of the gentlemen's magazines. And so now, in hindsight, it's flipped, right?
yeah, it's flipped. Like, I mean, I don't
Apparently,
see.
Penthouse likes being in the middle, though. They always like being
Yeah.
in the middle.
Yeah, but there's no like TV
That's the
shows
sex
on
joke.
on
You guys
Larry
didn't catch
Flint.
it.
Like, hear, in my opinion, like Larry Flint basically he couldn't have sex for like 40 years. So
Right,
maybe that's why we don't hear any crazy news stories about him because
right.
he couldn't bang anyway.
Couldn't
So
bang anyways.
he couldn't bang anyway. Like, but yeah, and Courtney Love played his girlfriend in that movie. Remember, Courtney Love was in the
That's
movie.
right.
Yes, but Larry Flint won the Supreme Court and stuff. He actually showed up wearing a diaper, I think, too, to the court case. I gotta see that movie again, but
It's been so long that I thought, okay, and when even when I watched it, I wasn't really invested in watching it, and I remember watching it and going, oh, that wasn't bad.
yeah,
It was entertaining and it was informational, and then, like I said, at that point, which has to be about the time of the internet, right? That was
yeah,
about 2000-ish. That was about 24 years ago.
yeah,
Um, I remember going, really? And I guess so. And I went and read and said, oh, yeah, I guess he did, have that legendary court case and all this other shit happening. And so, again, for the guy being um, kind of described as a wacko and a crazy and a dirty guy, he actually did some good stuff for our.
yeah. He got shot too. I mean, he got shot going to court.
Yeah.
Wasn't it in court that he got shot on
Yeah,
his yeah.
right outside the court or
Yeah,
something.
he got shot, and it's people don't realize how much pornography has has broken down the First Amendment laws, you know. I mean, from the 70s, like, they couldn't even show, like, porn movies in movie theaters at one point, you know, and, like, pornography really broke a lot of First Amendment laws, you know. And now porn is everywhere, you know, like, porn is everywhere. OnlyFans is everywhere. Like, it's almost like mainstream at this point, but yeah, porn has done a lot for the First Amendment and stuff. I mean, I heard that Jay-Z's being sued. They said that he
So
was
it was 1996.
96
Wow.
when that movie came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, 96. I remember seeing it in the theaters
So
and
almost
stuff.
30 years ago. It's 28 years ago.
Yeah, I think Woody Harrelson, he got nominated. He didn't win an Oscar. Or did he win the Oscar for that movie? I don't think so.
So yeah, he played Larry Flint. It's funny because the actual Larry Flint played the judge.
Yeah, he was the judge in that movie.
Um, Woody Harrelson's brother, Brett Harrelson, played his brother, Jimmy Flint.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Keep it in the family and stuff.
That's funny.
I don't think Woody
Oh, and
Harrelson.
that's right. Even Crispin Glover was in it.
Yeah, a lot of people. Who was the director of that movie? They had a famous director, didn't they? It was
Let me see here. Um, by the way, it won best director for in 1997.
was it Milos? Was that Milos who directed?
No,
Who?
Larry Kozeski and
Oh,
Scott Alexander.
oh, yeah.
They got the Golden Globe for best motion picture, Golden Globe for best screenplay, and the Paul Selden Award.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was always on. I always preferred Larry Flint to Playboy. I never really liked the Playboy thing. I didn't. Maybe I was always into porn too much. I just didn't see the value in the Playboy. I did like the college girls issues though. I don't know why. It's kind of sad now to think about like. But yeah, I mean, I never was into Playboy that much. You know. Hmm.
It wasn't, well, I guess it's hard to say into, but yeah, I mean, Playboy was more readily available.
Yeah, I just didn't see myself in the Playboy image. You know.
No, because it was more like the gentleman's thing, like a GQ quarterly kind of thing for
Yeah.
even the that's it's funny because that's the stuff that came out of hindsight for the Playboy stuff. All the things like Hef, he was a misogynist kind of
Oh yeah.
and held people not really, but apparently that's the kind of stuff that came out of that was the power stuff.
Yeah. I mean to run any business that long, to be that successful, I mean there's always crazy things that go down. So, but yeah, like now the shit like is coming out slowly, but I mean Bill Cosby used to kick it there a lot. So, but I don't think Larry Flint ever had like a mansion thing. I don't know. He wasn't. He had a gold wheelchair though. But yeah, it's crazy. So we lost one of our comedian friends this week, Kabizi. I didn't realize he was only 39 and stuff.
Yeah, I thought he was a little bit older. Kabir Singh.
I was friends with him years ago. Like I lost touch. I mean, I lost touch with him. I hadn't seen him in. I don't even know when the last time I actually saw Kabizi because he never really booked me. I wasn't really a bringer. I couldn't bring anybody, even my own parents. My parents wouldn't. I wasn't really into the bringer thing anyway. I'm just, I'm not naturally somebody who's got a lot of people who are dying to see them. I don't have a job, so I can't force any of my fellow employees to come to my shows.
Well, and that's the model when you first start comedy, especially in a big city like we're in San Francisco or in the Bay Area, is
Yeah.
that new comics equal butts and seats. What do you mean? I mean, when somebody becomes a comedian, no matter how good or bad they are in the beginning, usually bad, but no matter how good they do, they have people that come out and support them, either family, friends, co-workers, boyfriends or girlfriends, parents, whoever. They come out and they support. And so if you're a comedian that's trying to get butts and seats and a producer of shows like this that are at places like the Punchline, the Improv, the bigger houses, it's good to have some newer comics on the show. For one, it's new material that nobody's heard.
Yeah.
Two, it's a roll of the dice if they're good, which is kind of a scary thing for a producer. But then the next thing is they get butts and seats. And if you're a seasoned comic and not as many people, you don't have the fan base or you don't have as many people coming out and supporting you, like the coworkers, the families, the friends, all that stuff, then yeah, it's kind of a nice little gimmick. I used something like that in Redwood City. We called it, instead of amateur hour, we called it amateur 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I would find somebody that hadn't done it before that really had every intention of doing it and either worked with them or helped them and got them a spot and put them on before my show. And those people always brought like coworkers or friends. And so it was like stocking the pond. So I did a lot of shows like that for KO Comedy, which was Kabir and Sammy Obey.
Oh yeah, Kabir and Sammy, yeah.
And so KO Comedy was they did it really well. They were able to get the right mix of of seasoned comedians and new comedians that put butts in seats, that had newer entertainment, but also had tried and true acts that the show wouldn't bomb. It'd be a good show. And so I did a lot of those, and Kabir was, most of the time dealt directly with Sammy, but Kabir, just like Sammy, had to sign off on anybody that was in their show.
Yeah.
And so Kabir gave me a lot of opportunities early on.
Mm-hmm.
They might have been bringer shows, but where else can you, where else in the first few years of doing comedy can you do and this is when these places were awesome, like the Punchline and the San Jose Improv. You couldn't, it was hard to get a set at the San Jose Improv. Now you can just go down there on an open mic night and hope that you win the lottery and get on.
I used to get booked. I hosted at the Improv a couple times until the manager that booked me, he got fired, and now he owns he owns a comedy club in San Diego. I forgot.
Really?
Yeah, he owns I forgot the name of the comedy club in San Diego. He's never tried to book me for that place. But yeah, I used
Why
to.
don't you try to hit him up?
I couldn't find. He's not in social media. I couldn't find him. You know.
That's funny.
Yeah, but Justin, that was his name, Justin. But yeah, I used to. Yeah, that's how I got started. The Improv, you had an open mic every Tuesday, every week. I mean, that's how I got into the Improv. I would go to the open mics, and then eventually I got into the shows, and then even at Tommy T's, they had the open mics and
Right.
stuff. Now now even the open mic at the Improv is hard to get on. You
Right.
know.
Well, and I just read something in, I think it was the New York Times or Post, out the comedians that are getting the breaks are the ones that have the most connections. It's not the ones that have the most talent. And
Yeah.
I've been saying that for years. I've had that discussion with multiple comedians where certain people don't get booked just because of who they are, not because they're not funny or have no talent or wouldn't be great for that show.
Yeah, I mean it is connections.
It is.
A lot of it is like you got a lot of followers and stuff.
Again, it doesn't equate to butts and seats.
Yeah, butts and seats. Can you bring in people? I mean, I don't have a problem with the bringer shows because even now, like I think that you go to the Punchline on the weekdays or the Cobbs, those are all like bringer shows.
If it's anywhere in the Bay Area,
Yeah.
if it's anywhere in the Bay Area, I think I have a draw enough that I always get, like if it's a San Jose show or a San Francisco show or if it's an East Bay show, no matter what show it is, I have at least some sort of draw.
Hmm.
I will at least see at least a couple people that will come out specifically for me.
Well, yeah, you got like how many kids you got? You got like
Yeah, all the kids.
you
No,
got
but I mean actual
yeah.
people that go, oh my gosh, you haven't been down in Monterey for
Oh yeah.
so many years. And, the show was close to us in Gilroy or whatever. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. And so, yeah, no, I usually attract some numbers, not usually,
Yeah.
not like a Kabir or a Sammy or I'm trying to think of who else is big. Stroy.
So yeah, Stroy's
I'm
killing
trying
it
to think
right
of
now.
who else. So there's people that command an audience that get the numbers to come in.
Hmm.
I forget who else. There's a number of people that draw.
I used to kick it
What
with
was it? Paul
Kabir.
Conyers. Paul Conyers draws.
I used to kick it with
Dave
Kabir and
Nahill is
Sammy.
actually doing really well.
One time I was at Sammy's house with Kabir, and Kabir told me sit on Sammy's bed, and I did. And Sammy like freaked out. He like freaked out. I don't know if it was just me or he doesn't like men in his bed or he doesn't like anybody in his bed.
But he like did it for a reason. He told you to sit there for a reason.
Yeah, he told me to sit. Boy, Kabizi went to high school with Sammy, so they.
Right. I know they were close.
But
Like I said, when I met them, it was them mutually or
yeah.
together and they booked me. And I think the first show probably was the Punchline,
Hmm.
then it was the San Jose Improv, and then it was one or both of those again, and then even they're the ones that booked me for the Comedy Store. The only time I ever did the Comedy Store was a KO comedy.
Oh yeah. I used to go to the comedy store. Yeah, I actually did it. I haven't been
The,
there in a
the
while.
the one person that was giving out sets, not giving out sets, but the one person I remember you could contact was her name was Crazy Cindy.
Oh yeah. Where's Crazy
I don't
Cindy?
know. She's down there somewhere, but she's not doing the Comedy Store. But I remember I could reach out to her and she would say, "Oh yeah, you're coming down. Okay."
Oh yeah.
And even right now, I'm going to Disney next week, and it's like, oh, do I know anybody in LA that I can get a set on? I would set somewhere next Friday or Saturday, or
Yeah.
I should call someone like Spiegelman. Spiegelman, if you're listening, I need a set next weekend.
Yeah. I don't think there's any comedy clubs in Orange County, is there?
It was all like, so the one place, I don't know if there was an actual comedy club.
I lived in Orange County for a couple of years. I lived in
The
Cypress.
place I ended up doing comedy last time I was in at Disneyland was right outside Anaheim, and it was just a bar,
Oh yeah.
and it was a place in Santa Ana, which was like 10 minutes away.
Oh yeah. I lived in Cypress. I lived right across the street from Cypress College, junior college actually.
Apparently,
And
my grandfather owned a lot of property in LA. He was a teacher in the LA school
are you
district.
serious? What
And
happened
he was
to
also a war hero. He was instrumental
Oh,
in the Battle of the Bulge
oh
in
yeah.
World War II.
How much weight did he lose?
A lot more than you can think. But you can actually do a Google search and come up with my grandfather's
See,
name.
these are people you never met because like you never met your father, your grandfather.
So I never met my father, but my grandfather, I think, saw me when
Oh
I was
yeah.
young. Yeah, because that's my mom's father, not my.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't my dad's father. I don't know any of my. The only thing I've seen from my dad's side is pictures.
Oh yeah. That is weird. Yeah, I got a lot of family. I met them all though.
You met them all.
I met all my.
Sometimes with family, you almost want to unmeet them.
I was at my great grandmother's last birthday party. She was like 97. She kept asking who everybody was.
So you to give your viewers and listeners the code to get a $5 large pizza at at Little Caesars.
Oh yeah, what is the code for that?
So you guys, if you order a large, round, large two-topping pizza from Little Caesars, you will get it with your, you will get the deal of the month, and you have to use code number. Hold on, I'm looking. Top this.
Top list?
Yeah, that's right. So when you're checking out, make sure you get a round pizza. Make sure it's two toppings. And what I usually do is I get the large pepperoni all over with it, with all pepperoni all the way around it. But then I go half jalapenos, half pineapple.
Oh yeah.
That's the way to go. Anyway, then at the checkout, use your top this, and you get the large two topping pizza for $5.99.
Little Caesar, do they still have like a $5 pizza at Little
Nope,
Caesar?
this is the only way. So now, if you were to get this at a regular time, it'd be like 13, $14.
Oh yeah, I thought they had like a $5 pepperoni.
Yeah, they used to have the $5. What is it called? Hot and ready.
Oh yeah.
Not anymore.
It's weird that
They're $10.99, $11 just for a pepperoni.
as soon as I stopped driving, I stopped eating Little Caesars. That's kind of weird. I don't know if there's a connection.
Well, those Little Caesars, sometimes their pizza is like really not good.
Yeah.
Like I eat it and I'm like, ugh. But the two Little Caesars that I frequent do really well on their dough, sauce, and toppings.
Oh yeah.
And there's certain toppings you just don't get at Little Caesars. Like even if you love mushrooms, don't get mushrooms at Little Caesars. Why?
Uh,
Because they're like canned or whatever. They're not fresh.
yeah.
So I always get things like the pineapple because it comes out of a can. Duh.
Yeah.
Pepperoni because you can't really fuck up pepperoni.
Yeah.
Jalapeno, same thing, out of a can. So, and they do good on their dough. But anyway,
Yeah.
so that's the way you go.
Some people I was talking to at the weed event, they go looking they go looking for crab in the San Francisco Bay.
Oh, that reminds me, we're supposed to do a segment with a lady that has a boating charter.
Oh yeah, when is she coming in?
I'm supposed to meet with her and interview her in studio, and then go out to her boat as she takes us out there. And
Am I
why
going?
you want to go?
I'll go.
You want to go? Okay, I'll see if we can do this.
I'm not gonna get seasick, am I?
Why are you asking me if you're gonna get seasick? I don't know. Are
Actually-
you gonna get seasick? Because
actually,
if you're going,
Because I've been in the SF Bay. My dad got married on a boat. My dad's my dad's second marriage was on the boat in San Francisco Bay. I didn't get seasick, but that would have been a fun thing to. Thank God I didn't get sick and throw up at my dad's wedding. That would have been a crazy story. That was a crazy wedding and stuff. That was a fun wedding. In fact, I got a friend of mine to take pictures for the wedding, and the guy he tried to rent a camera, and all the good cameras, he ended up with some weird German camera, and the pictures turned out shitty. I almost ruined the wedding. I'm sorry. But my dad's still married, so. But yeah, I remember that was the weird story. Like, actually, I kind of saved it because I took pictures of the wedding, and there was one picture I took that I'm really proud of where the doves were leaving my stepmom's hands, and I got the picture of
okay.
the doves leaving. They had doves. That was a cool wedding, like doves and stuff. But yeah, I used to get seasick as a kid in the car, so. But what kind of charter are they fishing? Or?
Yeah, I'm looking for, yeah, they're like a sightseeing charter thing. And oh, that's funny. I have Kitty in my messenger.
We can go look for mermaids or something.
It's called Molly's Boats.
Molly, that's always a good name. That means we're gonna get high-end fish. We're gonna get a little Molly, a little fishing.
Yeah, no, not that kind of Molly.
It's
not
party.
Not that kind of Molly.
It's party time. It's party. Molly's boats. I bet everybody wants to ride Molly's boats. It's like a good name for a charter and stuff. Yeah, do people still get married on the bay? I bet they still do weddings on the bay. Yeah, my friends they were telling me that they go look for crabs and stuff. I'm like, I used to look for crabs too, but
Right.
that was after I had sex, so it was a different type of crab.
Totally different type of crabs.
Yeah, they were telling me they only got two crabs the last time they were out there. But crabs and lobsters, they look like they're insects. They're big ass insects. That's why I don't understand why people eat that stuff. You know, I'm like, you're eating goddamn insects. You're eating insects of the sea.
They're eating
And the
insects.
ocean is so dirty. Like the ocean is so dirty. That's why people. That's why people wonder why I don't get all these weird illnesses. It's because I don't eat seafood. You know how much crazy shit is in seafood. Like that is seafood is the ocean is dirty. There's nowhere to clean the fish. You never know what they were swimming in. So I'm not down for that lifestyle.
You're not down for it.
I'm not down for. I'm all down for eating mermaids though. Anything to do with mermaids, I'm cool with. Mermaids are like my thing.
So I'm confused, even though we're on Facebook right now. I
Yeah,
changed it and said we were on episode 9,
yeah.
and it says we're on episode 10.
It don't
Um,
matter.
that's funny. I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna change it on here.
Episode 9, 10, 11.
32.
It's all the Junkyard Rat show. I don't think it matters. A lot of my listeners are bad at math anyway, so
That's funny.
they don't
I was
know
able to
9,
resend it. I was
10,
able to resave it. I don't know if it will.
13, 15. We're in season 4. Surprisingly, we're still at it. I think we outlasted a bunch of. A lot of shows don't even make it to season 3, but we're on season 4. I heard that Jay Z might be in trouble with the law. I've been hearing about Jay Z for a while now. I'm surprised it's taking this long, but
So Myron just posted a picture of Dronos.
oh yeah,
What does Dro go by now? He goes by his real name.
oh Alejandro, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I ran into him in the movie theater last month in Daly City. He looked at me weird because he's like, "Why the fuck are you in the movie theater in Daly City?" I mean, it's fucking Tuesday, so it's like, and we were in the same movie. We went to see the Conclave. Have you heard of the Conclave? It's about the Pope, how they select the Pope.
Right. I know what the conclave
We
is.
were in the same movie theater. It's pretty weird, but he the thing I couldn't explain to him why the fuck I live in Walnut Creek. Why am I sitting in a movie theater in Daly City? I don't know. It's because I get bored and I got a cheap BART pass. And I could go to the movies where I live in Walnut Creek, but I prefer like Daly City or the other one I like to go to is Bayfair. I like Bayfair too. I don't like going to the movies where I live.
Right.
Because I got like too many people know me in that area. I live in a senior community. I'm not well known because I think I might be one of the youngest people there. But yeah, I ran into him and he didn't ask me why I was in a movie theater in Daly City. like I don't know. I like the theater. It's a couple blocks from the BART station. It's like my favorite theater. I mean, Bayfair, they don't even have like nice seating yet. Bayfair. I mean, I travel a lot. People don't realize that I have a BART pass. They don't realize how many different areas you can go to on BART. I mean, I go to Union City. I go to Bayfair because some days I'm bored. I go to the Great Mall in Milpitas. Now BART goes all the way to San Jose. I can go to Richmond, go to Millbrae, but you know where I can't go on BART? Fucking Sonoma, Santa Rosa. And frankly, I don't think they want me there anyway. So As far as I know, that's why they don't want to build Bart down there. But yeah, it was it was funny to run into him and like, and yeah, it's in the same movie. Thank God I wasn't doing anything stupid.
Right.
Sometimes I like vape in the movie theater, but then I had a complaint saying that my smoke was covering up the screen. I didn't realize that I put out that much smoke. I thought I was being clever. I would always wait like I would always wait until it got darker in the theater, like maybe somebody's getting killed so they wouldn't realize that I was vaping. Or anytime there was any kind of smoke, like their fog, I'll be like, I bring out. But yeah, one woman came up to me. Actually, it was in the Crawdad movie. Did you ever see the Crawdad movie?
No.
Nah, that's a good movie. The Crawdad movie came out last year. Um, something the Craw. I don't know what the hell that movie name was. Something Crawdad or something. But yeah, a woman came up to me. She's like, you got to sit in the back because your fucking vaping smoke, you know, is covering up the screen. I was like, oh, sorry. I didn't really realize that, like I don't vape that much anymore. Vaping kind of scares me, like I don't know what the hell they make the vaping shit out of, I don't like to vape that much. It's one of my things. It's like I'm trying to stick to weed. Even dabbing is cool once in a while, but I like to stick to weed. What about you? You like to vape in movie theaters?
I've not vaped in movie theaters before, but vaping is kind of cool in some situations. Like I'm going to Disney, and I think you can kind of vape, but the problem is that I don't even think you can walk in with the vape.
Oh, do they?
They do like metal detectors.
Oh yeah, but no, I mean the vaping is plastic. It's not gonna go off.
Vape pens are plastic. Mine's metal.
I don't know. They got plastic ones, don't they?
Oh, I guess they do, huh?
I don't think they're gonna care. There's no liquor in Disneyland. They don't sell beer.
That's kind of funny though. You're right because just a plastic one might not have
Yeah.
a lot of metal.
I went to the A's game with a vape pen and security noticed it and they're like, you can carry it, but just don't use it. So that's what they'll probably tell you. Just don't use it. But yeah, like they don't have any liquor at Disneyland. I don't know. You can get. Do you get high with your family? Do you smoke weed with your family or
No, I do not smoke. My family doesn't smoke weed.
your wife and your
My
kids?
wife does,
Oh
but
yeah.
my nobody else. No, my kids don't.
Your kids don't smoke weed. They
No,
look like potheads. What are you?
no, sir.
That is weird.
So did you see? So we were talking about posts that what happened for Kabir, for
Yeah.
Kabizi, for Kabir Singh. And you were talking about the one that was disrespectful earlier.
Oh yeah,
And
Ty Rivera. Yeah.
and I think he was trying to do it to be funny, but he was also doing it because Kabir or Kabizi could kind of be that way in his comedy too.
Yeah.
And so even this, I just saw Cody Woods post another time about him. And it's funny, it says a farewell to Bay Area comedy legend, and it's actually a picture of Aziz Ansari
Oh yeah.
instead of Kabir,
Well,
which I thought that was more his speed.
I think Sammy, like when Sammy started, he put out his story about Kabir. He said, "Yeah, my best friend died," and then he was like, "Yeah, it was that CEO of the insurance company." No, and nah, actually, it was Kabir. But yeah, he started the story. He's like, "Yeah, my best friend died, and it was the insurance company president who got killed." And
Right.
then he's like, "I'm just joking. It's Kabir." I was like, "That comedians are weird people. People don't realize
Well,
that."
okay, so everybody deals with death differently,
Yeah,
and comedians deal with it really differently.
yeah. I thought he was gonna get back in America's Got Talent. Don't they bring you back? Because they got two different seasons. They got like a new season, and then they got like an all-star season. I thought he was gonna get invited back, but he never did.
Huh.
He made it to the semifinals. As a comedian, that's really good because a comedian's never gonna win that contest. I don't think a comedian's ever won that thing. I don't even know if a comedian's even reached the finals. I mean, I'm quite sure somebody has. But it's a hard show for comedians, you know. You got dancers, singers, you know. You got all kinds of crazy magicians and stuff, but yeah. And he was on American. It was an American Dad he was on,
No, apparently it was South Park.
or was it South Park?
Uh,
Wasn't that show? No, it was the other show, wasn't it? Like,
Apparently his credits said South Park.
oh, okay. I thought it was the other cartoon. Like,
American Dad, like you said.
is it American Dad or the one with that redhead and stuff? What's on the show with the redhead and the big fat guy? That's not American Dad. That's another one.
The redhead, the big fat. You're talking about Family Guy.
Family Guy. No, he was in Family Guy.
Was it Family Guy?
He was in Family Guy. I used to know a redhead in college who looked just like that. I always thought like, damn, I hope that show's not about me. I hope I'm not the fat guy. Like, what kind of
Right.
offensive shit is that?
That's weird.
Yeah, I used to know a redhead who looked just like that in college. The other stuff is weird. The dog. I never got into that show. I thought it was just. I've never been like a cartoon fan. Yeah, but yeah, at 39, like it's crazy and stuff. It's crazy. I mean, it's sad to die that young. Like at 39, it's like I went to his house one time. I went to his apartment in Fremont because I remember something happened in my car. I needed I needed his help. I lost something in my car, but I used to kick it with Kabir and stuff, but I think I kind of got phased out.
Yeah.
I kind of got phased out. There was no room for three of us because I used to be good friends with Sammy
Right.
before Kabir, and then there was just Sammy and Kabir, no Chris. I got pushed out. I'm kind of sad.
I was gonna say that, like I said earlier, is that even though I got booked for KO comedy,
Yeah.
the most of my interaction was always with Sammy.
You know, I respect the two of them because a lot of comedian friends, they end up fighting, you know, their comedy's competitive. A lot of people get mad, like you get booked more than I do. You get better shows. Why don't you book me on this show? Like the fact those two like stuck together for years and stayed friends is a great thing because in comedy, like, you know, people don't last that long as friends because people do better and then they move on and stuff. It's a good friendship. I don't even think they got along in high school that well. Like Sammy had a story that they were in detention together on a Saturday. They like that movie, The Breakfast Club. They I would love to see like them in detention in high school. And he said that Kabir told a joke and then they got an extra hour. But yeah, I mean, it's sad. Like 39, it's like,
Well, and then he actually got a lot of ink.
yeah,
I saw TMZ,
TMZ, yeah.
People,
Mm-hmm.
one of the New York ones, either Post or Times, and something else. But then TMZ, I know, reported that they were going to do toxology reports.
Yeah, well, I
So
mean,
there's an ongoing investigation, even though I guess he had underlying health issues, which means he was probably sick at the time. He might have had the flu.
but I think that's common. I think they do that on everybody who
They
dies.
do that on anybody that is young and of
Yeah.
decent health.
And if they can't figure out why you died, they
Right, right. If they go there and there's no signs of whatever, they're like,
yeah,
okay, wait, hold on. It might have been something they ingested.
yeah, I
And it could
mean,
have been poison. It could have been something from, you know, something nefarious. Like, oh, they ate something that had poison in it or somebody
yeah,
poisoned them or whatever. It's not always because of drugs or
yeah,
alcohol or whatever. But then also it could be because uh, they were on drugs, but they were on drugs that were prescribed to them, and it was what was it, Heath Ledger?
yeah,
It was because he had like 8 different types of prescribed drugs in them, and they were all prescribed, and he was taking them in conjunction, and they should have known, and yada yada yada. So they do toxology reports not just because of illicit drugs.
Well, the first thing is like, first of all, they usually when you OD, they find the drugs in your room. So
Right, right. So like, yeah, exactly. So if it's like fentanyl,
yeah,
they catch you with a tinfoil in your hand,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so if it's because you were injecting some sort of drug, the needle's in your arm.
yeah,
If it's alcohol, even usually there's signs of alcoholism, like, oh, this person drank so much they drank themselves to death. Everywhere you look, there's a bottle of booze
yeah.
or an
I
empty
think his
bottle.
his dad died in when he was in his 50s. I remember his dad died like right before he won the Roosters comedy
Well, that's the other
competition.
thing is it could
Yeah,
have been something hereditary. It could have been something that went on unnoticed. You hear about it all the time where people have like a heart issue,
yeah.
and it's like, oh, they died because they had a heart issue.
Somebody
Uh,
calling in.
no, nobody's calling in.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, I know a weed vendor who just died. I think she was in her 30s. She had a heart attack. I'm like, a 30-year-old woman having a heart attack like that. That's just nuts, you know.
right.
But you just never know. I mean, people assume that, there's people always assume comedians are always on drugs, but it's not totally true. There are comedians who are on drugs, but yeah, I mean, the and who knows if he's on prescribed medication, I mean, those medications the doctors give you are just as deadly. The antidepressants and the sleeping pills. I mean, the sleeping pills will kill you. They tell you to take one or, you take two, it could kill you. So,
Right.
I mean, you never know. I mean, I didn't realize it. I don't know. I didn't think he was sick at all. I hadn't seen him in a while.
Right, but it was so when they say underlying health issues, that could have been that he literally had a flu for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, he could have had COVID,
He could have had anything. Could have had just some little flu or some little thing, and
Yeah,
then if he had some other issue like oh, that brought on asthma or whatever, he could have
yeah.
had problem. They said he died in his sleep, so he could have been
I don't
like he
know.
had a respiratory infection, which gave
Yeah,
him um, some sort of like asthmatic type things, and he should have been using an inhaler or
he could have had seizures. Who knows?
yeah, but usually even seizures are pretty
No,
you
people
could
die. People die
right,
from
right, but
seizures.
you
Yeah,
could tell when somebody's had a seizure most of the time.
yeah.
If they die from the seizure, they have signs of trauma.
Yeah,
They have signs of that they were going through it. So if they were
yeah,
convulsing, usually they're in a position to where it doesn't look like they died peacefully in their sleep.
yeah,
It looked like that somebody shook them, or it looked like their body has like rigor mortis,
yeah,
and they usually stop in a certain way.
yeah.
And so,
I don't know. I don't know if he was living at his mom's apartment or I don't know.
and the one report said something about he was visiting or he was in San Francisco at the time.
Oh yeah.
That he's originally from Fremont, that he was visiting San Francisco at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But he's from, where did they say? Is he from LA?
No, he's from. I mean, he grew
Well,
up
I
in
mean, no, but
Fremont.
where's he living now?
Oh, he was living in LA. He might have been. I'm not
I
really
forget
sure.
where they said. I think they said he was living somewhere else.
Oh yeah.
So,
I know he performed in Vegas a lot.
well, and then the funny thing is, well, not funny, but peculiar thing is, the last place he performed was where I was gonna go see him, which
What?
was at Deaf Puppies in Manteca.
Oh yeah. Oh, I thought it was Lake Tahoe, the last place he performed.
Really? They said, oh, well, the one person said in the beginning of November that he performed in Manteca,
Oh yeah, the
and I
Death
was gonna go
Valley.
see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't watch these true crime shows. Look, I'm not. I don't know, but yeah, it's always crazy. But I think that toxicology tests are always common. But I'm not even sure if Kabezi was even a pothead. I mean, I don't.
No, I don't think
I
so.
don't think pot. don't think he was into pot that much. So
No, but like I think I thought so I believe he drank,
yeah,
but I don't know if he smoked pot because I never. That's funny because I never smoked pot with him.
yeah. I don't think I ever smoked pot with his
And I
girlfriend.
usually when I know somebody, that's one way I know is I've smoked with them.
Yeah, yeah,
And so I never smoked with him.
yeah.
Just like so like we were just talking about Sammy. Never smoked with Sammy because I don't think Sammy smokes either.
Well, I don't know.
But I don't know. But so what I'm saying is I guess that's not how I knew them.
Yeah,
I knew them just being another comedian. It wasn't just, oh, this is a comedian that I like or I enjoy, but also I get stoned with.
yeah. Now that I think about it, I think I smoked with Sammy a couple times, but yeah, he wasn't a big time pothead either and stuff. But he always had good weed on him and stuff.
Well, and again, and that was probably years ago.
Yeah, that was years ago. I can't even remember the last time I even saw Sammy. It's been a couple of years and stuff.
The
Yeah,
last time I saw Sammy, it's been a couple years. Yeah, and it
yeah.
was at the underground or at the hub.
One time, I think on Instagram, he was asking people what cities they want to see him perform at in Europe, and I put Amsterdam, and he liked it, but I'm not even sure he realized it was me or I'm just another person. I'm just another fan at this
Just
point.
another fan.
I'm just another fan. Yeah, he doesn't let me know when he's in town. Like you know,
I used to get the things for his different performances, especially during the
yeah.
pandemic.
I think he booked me for some KO Zoom show for, and
Yeah, I did one. I did one of the Sammy show during the pandemic.
I
At
think
least
I
one.
forgot about it. I didn't do it. He never forgave me, so I'm not sure. But yeah, I haven't seen Sam in a while and stuff. And the funeral is this Sunday at 9 a.m. in Hayward.
Right.
And I need a ride. Like,
You need a ride.
I need a ride. I don't even know if Vahia's going.
That's right. If you call in now,
I
you
need a,
can give a ride to the Junkyard Rat
that's right.
this Sunday. Oh, jeez, that's how you go drop it.
That's right.
Knocking things down.
There's like two funerals I gotta go to this weekend. There's another one from a vendor. That woman who had the heart attack. She was a weed vendor. And
What, one of the events that you went to?
yeah, the sesh. Yeah. She I guess she had a heart attack. She had lupus though. She had lupus, so but yeah, it's always crazy, like, and I always wondered if it's an American thing, because my grandparents made it to their 80s and 90s, It's I always wondered like if people dying this young happens all over the place, or is it just America is just so ruthless and cutthroat that
I don't even think it's that. I think it's some of the
killing
things
it's, it's
we
killing their kids.
well, I think it's some of the things we're susceptible to.
Yeah.
We're one of the most obese countries there is.
That is true because the McDonald's in Chile the McDonald's is the same price all over the world, but it's expensive down there.
They have
So
the McSalad.
yeah, so they people aren't like a McDonald's every day here. Like people go to McDonald's every goddamn day here. So it is the fast food, but it's becoming more commonplace down there. But yeah, the food is terrible. The food is terrible and stuff, and it's really bad for you. You don't see so many fat people in other countries. America's just got like we're just fat. We're fat. I always wonder, like, like if it's unhealthy to live in America. I mean, it's crazy. It is. Sometimes I wonder, like, if it's a better thing to raise kids outside the country and stuff. I wouldn't go to Canada because Canada and America are like the same, but I always tell people, like, I know people who travel to Asia and Europe a lot. And I'm like, why can't you go to Latin America? Why can't you go? And people don't realize this. And I try to explain it to them, but they just don't get it. Latin America is our little brothers and sisters. We're kind of related to America. We're all Latin America and America, we're all like related. We're family, you know? And if you want to understand how things are really running, you got to go check things out down there. Going to Europe is like it's great, but I mean you gotta see Latin America face to face. I'm not talking about going to Cancun and Puerto Vallarta and all that, going to some resort in the Dominican. I'm talking about checking out real people, real life, going out there and living with the people and stuff, and just seeing how things are. People need a third world perspective, traveling to Thailand and Europe, Japan, all these countries, like, those are great countries to visit. They're fun. But you need to figure out, like, because I get tired. I had an argument with a friend of mine. He's like, "There's gonna be a coup in America." I'm like, "Dude, you don't even know anything about coups. First of all, you need the military to have a coup. You can't have a coup without a goddamn military. Coups just don't happen. A bunch of people, like the January 6th, a bunch of people storming the Capitol is not a coup. You need a you need a military to overthrow. Like what happened in Syria. In Syria they got rid of their leader and stuff. That's a coup. That's a coup. You gotta storm the Capitol, you gotta get people out, and you need the military's help. But yeah, every time I hear this, I'm like, I can tell you haven't been around America, have you? You don't
No,
understand.
no,
You don't understand how coups really happen. You don't understand how these things work, like dictatorships. You never been to a country with a dictatorship? So,
no. I've never been to the only country of, well, actually, so I don't know. I've been to Nevis, which is in the Caribbean. I don't think that's a dictatorship.
nah, I mean, the Caribbean's like an American hotel, you
It's like an
know?
American hotel.
The whole Caribbean is like, it's like Hawaii. The Caribbean and Hawaii are like the same almost. I'm talking about being around real people. One of my cousins years ago took me to some poor area in Chile. People had no running water, no electricity. And I was like stunned. I was like, people don't realize in some of these countries to this day, you don't got running water. You're poor, you don't got water, you don't got electricity. And it's like, it's almost like I almost want to force people down there. Like, fuck your, my friend wants to go to Spain for 3 months. Fuck that shit. You know how many times I heard people like in college, like, yeah, I'm gonna learn Spanish, I'm gonna study abroad, I'm gonna go to Spain. Don't you realize you got fucking Mexico next to you? You want to learn Spanish? You think the Spanish from Spain is gonna help you anywhere? Go to fucking burrito places and see if they understand your fucking Spanish from Spain. You know, you want to learn Spanish, you gotta go where the people are. Like Spain, like what a. I know countless of people who went fucking to Spain and study abroad to learn Spanish, and it's like, come on, you can't do that shit. Go check out your neighbors, man. That's all I'm saying. You got fucking El Salvador, Honduras. I mean, you know how cheap vacations are to those areas? Spending a fortune to go Hawaii. You could go to Honduras. Go live with the people. Go live in a go see what life is down there. There's parts of Mexico you'll be shocked to see. Mexico's a big country. I mean, it's not Cancun. Cancun is like an American place. That's all I'm saying. It's sad about Kabir. Like it's 39 is like crazy.
No, it's way too young.
And like comedians are like, I mean, it's hard. It's always hard with comedians because a lot of comedians are dying and stuff. You know, it's crazy. It's almost like, yeah, it's a sad industry to be in a way. Kind of like, in a way, you're like, fuck. You know, it's hard. It's hard to be in this business. It's up and down. It's not real money.
Yeah, you can't even die without people making jokes.
Yeah, And the sad thing is, like, I mean, the sad thing about Khabib, like, now he probably would get booked a lot more, with all these credits. But where were these credits when he was alive? Where was TMZ? TMZ wasn't doing stories about Khabib when he was alive, Kind of like he had America's Got Talent. Then a couple of years, I mean, his booking slowed down and stuff. He wasn't like getting booked as much, and it sucks. It sucks. Like it takes somebody's death to make people appreciate the guy. It kind of that's the sad thing about this whole thing. Because I mean, one of us needed to break out big. I thought Khabib was really gonna blow up. I thought one of us was really gonna break out big. We needed somebody in this group to break out big, carry all of us into that world and stuff. But that's the saddest. But it's like, yeah, I thought America's Got Talent was gonna rebook him, but I guess at the end he started talking shit to that English dude. What was his name?
You mean Simon
Yeah,
or the other guy?
Simon. He was talking shit to Simon and stuff. He got mad at him and stuff.
Did he?
Yeah, he got mad at him. Like I think the final show, he didn't do that well. He was getting pissed with Simon and stuff. Maybe that's why they didn't bring him
I
back.
think I only saw one or two of his appearances.
Oh yeah, because they brought back the other guy. What's his name? The guy from Sacramento, Winfield.
Oh, Mikey Winfield.
Yeah, Mikey Winfield got brought back for another season. So I thought Khabib was gonna come back. But I thought he was gonna be more successful. I mean, I'm surprised all the talent we had in the Bay Area that you know we haven't had many people really break out big and stuff.
Not for a long time. Not
Nah,
since like the 80s.
nah. I mean, this is like a hotbed of comedy and stuff. And I think a lot of people like left. Like I think maybe a bunch of comedians moved to LA maybe 6, 7 years ago
Right.
from that group and stuff. Yeah, I always thought like all this talent we got here, we really didn't break out, We didn't really take over Hollywood like we should have. It kind of sucks, because, and it's a hard profession. You never know egos and
Right.
you never know, I mean, how people get booked. America's Got Talent, I mean, I don't know. I don't even think they like comedians on that show. I mean, to be the semifinals is like great because comedians don't really reach, they don't go that far
They
and
don't
stuff.
get to what comedians actually ever won America's Got Talent?
Nobody, I don't think any comedians ever won that show.
It's always music or dancing, right?
Dancing, music, or some 12-year-old who sings and stuff. Like,
Right. So it's singers and dancers. I don't think I've
yeah,
ever seen a comedian win. The
comedians,
only one I've ever seen come close, and was that America's Got Talent?
which,
The one that the southern guy that he was a ventriloquist,
oh, yeah,
like Terry something.
oh, yeah, but that,
I can't remember if that was America's Got Talent or yeah,
probably,
it was.
I think so, I think
It
so.
wasn't. It was an American Idol. American
Yeah.
Idol's all singing, right?
Because a lot of the magicians in Vegas right now all came off that show. But yeah, they don't really respect comedian. And it's weird because Howie Mandel's on the show. You think Howie would like fight for the comedians, you
But I
know?
think we're still such an art form, and they haven't seen someone that was just like broke all the barriers.
Yeah. And the other thing is hard because, it's a TV show. You can't really be that dirty. So they
Well,
kind
you
of,
can't. Well, yeah. I mean, that's a hard question to say. You're right. If you're a dirty comedian and your niche is dirty comedy, yeah, you're right. You're at a disadvantage.
wow.
But if you're a clean comic and you work clean and you're good at what you do, i.e., like someone like what's his name, Brian Regan, or like Jim Gaffigan or
Hmm.
whatever, if you're like one of those guys and you can pull it off, great.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. Especially now, there's so many comedians now. Like, they're everywhere. And I mean, I just saw that Sal Trujillo he's gonna be on what's that show? The late show on, what's the name of the guy who plays David Letterman? I forget his name.
The guy that plays David Letterman.
Yeah,
So you don't mean
Colbert. He's gonna be on Colbert.
who's
Yeah.
going to be on Colbert?
Oh, Sal Trujillo's gonna be on Colbert.
Not really.
But yeah, it's just like I always thought like all our talent. Why don't we just take over this fucking business? Like I mean, San Francisco is one of the places that people come to become comedians.
Well,
It's
and
really
I
good.
just had somebody tell me last week we're gonna start doing a show and da da da, and they said I want to bring comedy back to San Francisco, and I go, it left.
Yeah, it's never left. I
It's
mean,
just not as vibrant as it was in the '80s or whatever.
well, part of it is like Live Nation really runs the comedy business in this town.
It kind of runs the business in almost every town except
Yeah,
for really small towns.
yeah. So that's one thing, and then I mean, you got the improv, you got Tommy T's, but yeah, comedy's never left. But this is one of the towns that people used to come to become comedians.
Yeah, they used to say, go to San Francisco to work out, go to LA to work.
Yeah,
And so what they meant by that is there was plenty of stage time in San Francisco to be had, but trying to make a living from it is like winning the lottery.
yeah,
But if you have that skill set and after you've gone to the gym, i.e. San Francisco, and worked out, then you should be able to go somewhere like LA or New York and get work.
yeah. And then you got to start all over again. The LA comedy
Well, hopefully
scene.
you've actually used those cities, either like San Francisco as a springboard for LA or New York based on what you're trying to do. So let's say you're trying to become an actor, then you would easily transition to Hollywood or LA.
Yeah,
And because that's what you would want to do if you're going to be like a funny actor.
yeah.
That way you could still work on your comedy, but also do auditions and possibly get roles.
Oh yeah. And I think the punchline should be more open to New York comedians. The whole process of waiting on Sundays.
Yeah, I mean, and that's changed over the years, right? I've been doing it for 16 years, and so they used to tell you you had to go to the punchline every Sunday for like 10 months, and then it was like a year and a half, and then it was like whatever. I don't even know what the current protocol is or the current uh, uh, average time before you see time on stage at the
Yeah.
punch. And I believe, and it's changed over the years. So now it's Ben Feldman, I believe,
Ben Feldman, yeah, and what's the other
which
guy?
I would walk in and at least he would know who I am. Like you were just
Yeah.
saying, like you've walked into certain venues and they're like, they don't even know who the fuck you are.
Yeah, they don't know who the fuck I am.
Right. And so at least I would walk in on a Sunday and he'd go, oh, yeah, I know
Yeah.
you at least.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Ben Feldman a couple of times. He performed at Cows, but I remember when I was talking to one comedian
Well, and he was headlining when I started, I think.
yeah,
So he's been doing comedy damn near 20 years or whatever.
yeah. One comedian told me he just got up at the punchline on Sunday. Like, I did it. So, no, I'm not going. I'm not standing around every Sunday night, you know? And it's like,
So if you started going to the punchline on a Sunday and you got up, after that you wouldn't go for a while.
I don't know. I guess some of them do, but I think the ones that get up a lot down there on a Sunday are actually friends with Ben Feldman and them. So,
Well, okay, so isn't that always the truth?
yeah.
If it's
So,
one of those shows where you get picked,
yeah.
that's why I'm saying it's not as much a numbers game as in who you know
Yeah.
and how you know them.
I
So
mean,
there's like most comedians I'm pretty friendly with. There's a couple comedians that are assholes.
yeah.
And if they were running a show, I'd be like, well, I'm not going to go there because they're not going to pick me.
I don't think Ben Feldman would put me. He wouldn't put me on stage. That's one of the
Well, I
real.
know he would see me and he wouldn't go, okay, I don't like this guy.
Yeah,
So, but it's funny because during the pandemic, I supported a lot of rooms, but there was one room I kind of supported multiple times, paid money to, and they ended up treating me like shit because they ended up realizing who I was.
yeah,
They're like, "Oh, that's Paul Brumbaugh.
yeah,
We don't have to." And I literally had been contributing money to them, and I was like, "Oh wait, I'm tipping you. I'm tipping you kind of every couple of weeks. I'm tipping you $5 or $10,
yeah,
and you must see it because it's coming like from Venmo or PayPal or whatever, and it says Paul Brumbaugh comedian. So like if you literally get your Venmo and you go, oh wow, I made $100 on Venmo. Who gave it to me? Oh, Brumbaugh's there. Okay,
yeah,
that's cool. Oh, Chris is there. Oh, that's cool.
yeah,
Tony Sparks there. Oh, that's cool. And so if you're flipping through your shit and you're realizing who's tipping,
yeah.
it's kind of like when somebody physically walks up to your tip jar and throws money in it. You usually look up at them and you say thank you.
Well, I learned in the past, like my friend who got a bunch of weed yesterday, that it's easier to get free stuff if they think you don't need it. Like people are more willing to help you with shit if they think you don't need it.
Really?
Yeah, they if they think you need it or you want something, they're like, but it ain't like, you got money. I'm just gonna throw free weed at you. You got money, you know. And it's even in the weed field. One guy was telling me that he makes dabs, right?
Right.
And he said he used to buy some weed from some guy who started blocking him from buying it. He didn't like him. He blocked him. And then he said, you know what? I met the guy who sold him the weed, and
Right.
I started buying weed from him. So now he can't block me. And the guy's like, no, just get the weed from me. You don't have to deal with this guy. So I mean, I think in every field, you run into shit like that. That people don't like you. They don't, they think you're too good. In the comedy business. That's the one thing about producers who run comedy shows or comedians. I mean, it's hard because you're the producer of the show. You should care about the show, but a lot of the times they care more about how their set is than how the show going. That's like the most important thing. A lot of the times they want to be the funniest person on the show, and like it's hard to be a producer and a comedian because it's two different jobs. That's why SNL is successful. Lauren Michaels, he's never been a comedian.
Right.
He ran the show. He didn't think, well, I should be the talent too, like no. And that's why a lot of these things they fail because there's a lot of ego and like, oh, that guy got more laughs than me. I'm not gonna book him. Like, no, you're the producer. You should care about that. But yeah, I mean, and then the open mics are crazy because a lot of the time some people only laugh at their friends' jokes. They're like, it's very cliquish. So that's why the open mics suck because a lot of the times people are refusing to laugh at your shit because they're like, I don't know you. I don't know who you are. You never booked me. I'm not gonna laugh at your shit. Um, so yeah, it's a hard business. It's hard to get a real audience to see if your shit really works or not. It's hard to be in front of real audiences at one point. And
Right. And so you were talking about bringer shows earlier, and that's why
yeah,
sometimes that's a tool for some.
yeah. I mean, but the bringer shows, like I remember at Tommy T's, people would show up with 20 people for the open mic. I'm like, and then they win that night. They win the contest, but it's like we all know why you won. You brought like 20 people, but I my thing is like I'm about real audiences and stuff, but and even then, that's the other thing about open mics. You got a lot of friends who are comedians, and Sometimes you can't tell if your shit is working or they think they love to laugh at your stupid shit, you know? So it's hard to figure out, you know, you need like real test audiences, you know? Like that's why Hollywood they test everything in front of people before they put it out, TV shows and movies, because that's the only way they can really figure out if something works or not. You need like a test audience, but yeah, I do think Live Nation should be a lot cooler to younger comedians, but it's a business. It's a business, you know, and it's like it's a business. So I'm not gonna tell them, you know, like how to run their business. But yeah, I think it should be mandatory. These clubs have open mics every week, you know, and not real open mic. I mean, I think most of the comedians I met through the open mics at Tommy T's and the Improv. You know, I mean, that's where I met these people. We were there week after week. We were all friends. Once a month. And then they give you like 3 minutes. The improv open mic, they give you like 3 minutes. I mean, 3 minutes, you know? And then a lot of the times, these aren't even open micers who are doing the open mics at the improv. These are all people who've been doing it for years, you know? Like, you know, leave the open mics for the open micers. That's another reason I don't do open mics because I mean I I do like the one at the Union Station because it's a dispensary, so I don't go like to random open mics because I'm like they're for the young open micers, you know, and like a lot of the times, you know, you're at an open mic. But yeah, I think we're not really developing people. We're not really developing comedians and stuff. But it's a hard business. It's like, I mean, if I had figured out this business, you know, I'd be different, you know, but I never really figured it out. Like it's like a puzzle and you're missing a couple pieces and you know, you could go through years looking for that piece. Where's that piece? Where's that piece of the puzzle?
Well, where is that piece of the puzzle?
Where's that piece of the puzzle? But yeah, I mean, the business hasn't changed. And it's always gonna be like this. And it's not only here. I mean, LA, New York is even harder. I mean, some of these open mics they expect you to pay just to get on. The New York open mics. You want to do an open mic in New York, they're going to expect you to put money down, you know?
Right.
So, I mean, it's not as bad here, but I do think we should be more into developing comedians, you know, and more like an in-house thing, you know,
Like some sort of mentor program.
yeah, I mean, sitting around at the punchline on Sunday nights is great, but it's like,
There has to be a better way of onboarding comedians.
yeah, there has to be a better way,
They
you know?
bring come into a weekly meeting or
Yeah, there has to be a better way.
well, that's why a lot of places have writing like writing groups and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I've done a show at the Sacramento Punchline, and I mean at the Punchline, if you have a show and if you don't bring enough money in, they're not gonna let you do another one. Like it's a business, so they'll book shows, but if you didn't bring more than $500 in, they're like they don't want anything to do with it,
Right.
you know. And it's like I get it. I mean, but it's like I don't think people realize that yeah, these weekly shows at these clubs, they're basically bringer shows. So and some people they have a lot of friends. They got a lot of friends they can bring to these things, and that's great. And I'm not dissing bringer shows because bringer shows is part of the business, but yeah, there's got to be a better way of developing these younger comedians. A lot of them don't even like the process just makes them want to not do it, you know. And I remember I was at Tommy T's every fucking Monday to their open mic, you know. I mean, I was there religiously, And it's like I've met so many of comedians who, those open mics. And it's like it's kind of sad that now they do it once a month, but they give you like 3 minutes. It's like, and it's like, who cares? And then they give you a bunch of tickets when you get booked to a show because they want to know exactly who you bring in, how many people are you gonna bring in, and like it's all a numbers game, and it's like at the end of the day, it's like at the end, it's like it's a broken system. It is a broken system, and like, and the trouble is, I mean, it's a system that's gonna be in place because nobody. It's hard to bring in new clubs, you know, and at the end of the day, it's like if you're not on bacon, you can't get booked. Everything goes through bacon.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are. It's funny because even Joe Mama was talking about how many points does someone have on bacon, and I'm like, yeah, I don't care about points.
Oh,
That's how much interaction and how much you post and how much you talk to people on there.
yeah.
So I think bacon is there for different reasons for different people at different levels. If you're just starting in the game
Mm-hmm.
and you can use bacon to find out where the open mics are or what the temperature of the scene is in any given area,
Yeah.
i.e., this case, the Bay Area comedy scene.
Mm-hmm.
Define stage time to see how people interact and the what's the word I'm looking for, the like terminology and also how people conduct themselves. What's the decorum, if
Yeah.
you will, uh, and just to kind of keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening. And so there's that. But if you're someone that's established that gets booked through different means, like because you have a draw or because you're really funny and you've been doing comedy for a while, and
Yeah.
people book you because they want to book you,
Yeah.
you shouldn't have to use bacon.
Yeah. You shouldn't have to use bacon, and like, and it just. But yeah, the whole business runs through bacon. And it's like at the end of the day, there's got to be a better process, and then like the whole like the whole system, and you're like you gotta wait. You're an open micer, and even if you like get booked at the punchline, on the weekends, you don't get booked a lot. You're lucky if you get booked twice a year to open up for somebody. Usually the comedians, they bring their own openers, they bring their own friends with them on tour. So at the end, it's like, yeah, it's a really crazy business to break out of and stuff.
Right.
And it's like there should be, and at the end, it's like, yeah, I'm surprised that we don't have more success when in LA because we had so many. There were so many comedians from the Bay Area who moved to LA at one point. At the beginning, a lot of them, they got writing jobs, they got deals, and but I mean, it's the next step, the next level. What can you keep the thing going? Can you keep everything running? You know? Can you keep? I mean, it's great that you're a writer, but can you keep getting writing jobs? You know? Is your show going to be successful that you write on? How you going to pay the rent?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in LA, nobody pays you. Nobody pays you to get on stage at the Comedy Store. I mean, I remember in the 1980s, there was a strike at the Improv and the Comedy Store because they weren't paying any of the comedians, and like they agreed they're gonna get like $25 a set. Well, they're still paying them the same amount. It's been like 40 years.
Right.
And they're still like they're not gonna pay you. They don't pay you that much. You perform at the Comedy Store on the weekends. they're not gonna pay you a lot. Like it's
No, okay, so if you actually get paid at the comedy store, there's usually like a minimum, and it used to be like $30 back in the day. It's some odd amount, like $22 or something.
yeah,
And
so
so you don't get paid a lot. It's more
no.
of for being in the spotlight and people seeing you for other things like TV shows. Like you just said, so and so being on Stephen Colbert.
And even Stephen Colbert doesn't pay that much. I think
No, they pay a minimum, and so you get if you actually appear now and you have a talking role, I forget what it is. It's like 300 or $500.
mm-hmm.
And so you do get paid for an appearance. But as a comedian, if you're doing Stephen Colbert, you're more excited about the exposure than the $500
Yeah.
or the $300 or the $600 or whatever it is.
But even then, like now, it's not like it used to be. Like even being on Colbert is not gonna get you a lot.
No, it's not Johnny Carson that if
No.
you're on Johnny Carson tonight, by tomorrow you're a household name.
Yeah. It's
If you're
not.
on Stephen Colbert tonight, you're people are kind of aware of you, but it doesn't mean shit. You could have a set on Stephen Colbert and nobody ever see you again.
Yeah. I mean,
And so I
I
mean
know a
shit
bunch of
happens.
comedians who like were on TV shows. I mean, Sammy did Conan one time, and he never got brought back.
Right.
I mean, it's like you, and that's the other thing that yeah, you think you're about to blow up, your career's about to take off, but it could be like this is it. And that's the other crazy thing is like the ups and downs of this business, the whole COVID. There was a while where nobody was getting booked for shows. There was no shows, but now it's true. Like now you could be doing some show. I was reading somebody they wrote on Facebook about bringer shows. They're like, well, you could be doing a bringer show. You could bring 20 people, and the headliners, the the that woman that spit, the hookah girl, whatever it was name, the one that like told people to spit on the dick before you suck it. She could be the headliner of the show, and it's true. Like
Right.
usually you do a bringer show, and you could have somebody like and they're fun shows, and you feel successful. But at the end, it's like yeah, it's hard. That's why a lot of these comedians, the ones that make it, it's like you gotta have other kind of money. You gotta have other kind of money coming in.
Right.
You know, a lot of the journalists, the ones that are breaking out these days, they came from rich families because your first job in New York, you could get paid like 20 grand a year. You can't live in New York for 20 grand a year,
Right.
but you got family money, so you don't have to worry about that. You can do a shitty internship that gets you in the door, but if you don't have that kind of cash, but yeah, I mean, I think I wish it was a better. I wish it was better. Like it seems like we could have done better. We should have done
We
better.
should have done better.
We
There.
should have done better as a fucking comedy town. I don't think we really support each other that much.
Well, I think so. That's also another weird dynamic with comedy is that we're all, I won't say all, that's very inclusive. That's everyone. A lot of us are the odd guy or the odd person out. And
Hmm.
so a lot of the time we're the end of that's why I like comedy and I don't like comedy is that it's an individual sport. It's basically based on your merits. Now we were talking about how some people are invited to the party and some people are not, so to speak.
Yeah,
But really, if you're talented and you're funny and you get seen by even just your peers that are in your scene, even like in the Bay Area, if you're funny,
yeah,
hopefully you get booked just on that. It's not because you joined a club or drank the Kool-Aid or because you're a person of color or LGBTQ, or hopefully you can be hopefully you can just be funny, that your
Yeah.
talent can stand on its own.
Oh, it's not like that at all.
But it's
You
not.
know, it's not like that at all. You
No,
know.
there's so many people that I've had conversations with, yourself. I can mention 5 other comedians that have been doing it as long as you and I have, and they kind of like, are we the unbookables?
Yeah.
Why are we not getting booked? Oh, it's because you haven't drank the Kool-Aid, you haven't
Yeah.
subscribed to the club, uh, you're not of color or LGBTQ.
Yeah. You
It's
don't.
because you're a
Yeah.
middle-aged white guy that gets lost in the,
Yeah.
and you're not white, but I know what you're saying. But I mean, for the
Oh, I
on
mean,
the face of the demographic, you are.
I might be the only person who thinks that I'm not white, though. I mean,
Right,
people.
but that's what I mean. So
Yeah.
on the face value of you, a lot of
Yeah.
people don't go, oh, he's black or he's of
Yeah.
color.
Yeah, like a lot of black people think I'm white, and I'm always like I'm like I'm kind of surprised, you know, but it's the truth. In the truth, I mean,
I think it's
I
kind of
probably
the
am
smart thing
white, yeah,
nowadays to assert your culture.
yeah,
If you're being called out for being white and you're not,
yeah,
like you're Chilean. You're from Chile,
yeah. But my ancestry is white, you know, like my
is it?
yeah. I mean, my relatives all came out of Europe, you know, like we're not like natives, you
So is
know.
it half your like so your mother's side or your dad's side?
Oh, both sides, you know,
Both
like.
sides.
Actually, I have European citizenship, you know, from my grandfather. My grandfather was an Italian citizen, you know,
Gotcha.
and he never even went to Italy. He never, you know, and but yeah, his parents came from Italy. In fact, his parents tried to send him to Italy to find a wife, but,
Didn't
uh,
work.
no, well, no, he fell in love with my grandmother, and they didn't even show up to the wedding. They didn't go to the wedding. You know, they were married for like 70 years.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I mean, my mom's side is Spanish and German. Like, you know, like one of my grandparents. You know, they're my mom's my dad's mom's family. They had been around in Chile for generations, but they didn't want to tell me their history because, you know, they always thought like, you know, the people who came to Latin America those years, they were the criminals. Like they were the ones trying to get away from Europe. So, but yeah, you know, I I get it. I'm Chilean, but you know, it's like, you know, it's like being American, but you know, you got roots from other countries. It's the same thing, but I mean, I'm fluent in Spanish. Yeah, it's my first language, and as much as I tell people I'm Chilean, they're like, nah, you're white. You could be Chilean and white, and I am. The last time I was in Chile was like one of the very first times where I felt like, you know, I belong because these people caught up to me. You know, my lifestyle, their lifestyle is very similar. I used to go down there, and we were like there was a gap between us, you know, electronics and all that. But
Oh yeah, you mean like a generational gap,
yeah, but now I mean, it's almost like
or
we're
in that case, a technological gap.
yeah. But the truth is, Chile's got the best economy in Latin America right now. So we're not talking about a country that's like that that doesn't do well. You know, I mean, it's a different place. But yeah, like, you know, man, I accepted the fact that you know, I'm in two different worlds and I'm okay with that. But yeah, I used to be surprised when people thought I was white, you know, because I'm like, what the hell? But it's like, hey, you know, and I had a fight with that with my mom for years. She didn't like the fact that I didn't want to be white. My mom thought she was white, you know, and she kind of thinks that it kind of she thinks that that's kind of like what fucked me up was the fact that I didn't accept my whiteness. My,
and pretty sure white.
yeah, my mom, she thought she was white, she only has white friends. That's my mom. And the other weird thing is, a lot of my closest friends, they all had foreign parents. Like Sammy, his parents were foreigners.
Right.
A lot of my closest friends, they had foreign parents. And maybe that's just common. Like your friends, they can relate to you because they went through it too. I mean, I've had like white
Well, I
friends.
grew up as I'm white, so I grew up white
Yeah.
and part of the majority, and now we're becoming part of the minority.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the numbers are definitely changing over the decades.
Well, a lot of these kids, the white kids, they're like they realize like maybe a lot of these kids they don't really think that being white is a benefit anymore. That's why a lot of them they're like they want to
Oh,
transition or
well,
they
that's what I was
they
just
come
saying
out as
about.
bisexual because they want to be part of some group. They want to be part of minority group.
Well, in this country, there's definitely white privilege,
Yeah,
but then there's also white disprivilege,
yeah,
and I think that's definitely a discussion to have. Yes, there's white privilege, but there's also now there's a stigma, and there always has been a stigma to being white for a
yeah.
lot of reasons, and some of it is just, some of it is white people in this country have done some really stupid shit and continue to.
Oh, I mean, yeah,
From our politicians to our mass shooters
yeah.
um, to our public heroes.
Yeah, like that one guy. They just arrested the guy
Oh,
who
that shot that CEO.
yeah, the guy was like an Ivy Leaguer and stuff, I mean,
Yeah, he has ties to San Francisco too.
I
I don't
bet,
know what he
I bet
has.
he does. I bet he does.
He has ties to San
Hey
Francisco.
man, the Unabomber,
Hawaii, San Francisco,
yeah,
and Pennsylvania.
the
I think out
Unabomber,
of
the
Pennsylvania.
Unabomber was a professor at UC Berkeley. All these, all these crazy,
Brzezinski.
all these crazy anti-capitalists. I mean, they come out of here. I mean, this is part of the anti-capitalist world. That's what makes the Bay Area so much fun. We got the anti-capitalist, we got Antifa here. I used to go to,
You know my aunt Tifa.
yeah, your Antifa, yeah. I mean, this is one of the hotbeds for that world. Like, the whole movement is from here, and like the peace movement from Berkeley, and
Well, they were also talking about. Well, there's a lot of shit from here. Even like the stuff they're talking about with Trump now with what is it, Project 2025 or
oh
whatever.
yeah,
There's somehow that's connected to, I believe, and this is where we'll get nabbed for misinformation, but they're like linking it. They're linking certain things with like the Heritage Club here in San Francisco.
oh yeah. I mean that in Stanford, the Stanford has like one of the biggest right-wing think tanks is at Stanford University. You know, the
Right.
Hoover Center. I mean, the Hoover Center. Stanford is like there's a lot of like right-wing think tanks coming out of the area.
Right.
And yeah, it's true. Like and it's crazy. People think that San Francisco's so liberal, but I mean, in the 70s, it wasn't like that. San Francisco wasn't that liberal. It kind of became more liberal over time, but there was a big Republican base.
So if you guys have any questions for the rat, now is the time. We want to see. We want to know. We want
Oh
to
yeah.
hear.
What do you want to
So
know?
we want to know.
What do you want to know? What kind of wheat strains are you in? Do
So
you need any marijuana seeds? I got a bunch of Tahoe G seeds. I got, I got.
all right. This is from 49er Minded. Okay, I'm here now. What's up, Chris? It's me,
Oh
Bashar.
yeah, Bashar's. Yeah, I was talking to Bashar. Did you
Um,
know Bashar?
no. Oh, do I? I think I know the name.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he used to do comedy out here for a while.
$25 per set. Ha ha ha. He said.
It's true. It's true. They don't pay. And they wait.
And it also says Chris puts the chill in Chilean.
Oh yeah, I mean it is true, but I tell, I always tell people they gotta go visit Chile, but I don't know anybody. I only know a couple people actually been to Chile. Usually
Right.
they go to Argentina or Brazil, but I'm like, you gotta go check out my homeland. I'm from the capital. I'm from the capital, but there's a lot to do out there. We got our wines are the best in the world and stuff.
And all the live viewers and watchers, please, 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 please go share this podcast wherever
Yeah, the
you hang
Junkyard
out with
Rat
your
Show,
friends.
Edge Studios. You gotta support the station, support all of us. Send us some money and stuff. Send us some free weed and money.
Weed and money.
Free weed and money. Like, I'm always down for free weed. Like, my friends give me the weed they don't want, and they don't realize that, like, I have to explain to them, like, when I started smoking weed, the weed was just shitty, right? And even the weed that these kids think is shitty is better than the weed I was smoking when I got started. So to me, it's like it's just weed. I mean, I wish, I wish I was one of those people who cared more about what type of weed, what am I smoking on. It's like, is it weed? I used to call my friend like, hey, you got some weed? I got some weed.
Right.
I got weed. You got weed. I need some weed. I didn't know what name of the weed. It was just weed. And now we got names and we got the parents. They list the parents of the weed, like. But yeah, it's different. Like, but I wish that I did care. But I'm not one. I got friends that are really picky about what weed they smoke, and they're the ones that spend a shitload of money on weed. So.
It's not people like Myron the moron.
Myron isn't a pothead. I don't think Myron smokes weed.
No, it's probably better that he doesn't.
He's a
He's already crazy
he's
enough.
naturally crazy.
He's just
He's
crazy.
naturally. The thing about weed, it gives you perspective. I always thought that weed it gave you perspective. If you're ever wondering, I always made my decisions on weed because it gave me like perspective. It calmed me down.
Your decisions on weed.
It made me like look at other sides. I could look at different angles, at different angles and stuff. It's like, it's, but yeah, I do wish that I cared more. Like, oh, I need some of this brand, or look at that brand, or like, but yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you can go to one dispensary, they got, they got like eights for like 10, $15 to $100. Like, I mean, there is a difference. And yeah, I wish I could like be smoking $100 eight weed and stuff. Like, but at this point, fuck it. The government's not giving me free weed. I gotta do what I do. I gotta be what I be.
Gotta be what I be.
I be what I be. I'm just a bee. I'm just a bee looking for a queen to serve. That's how I think. I'm just a bee looking for a queen to serve. That's basically what I am. I'm a bee in the weed game looking for a queen to serve. That's how I am.
The bee in the weed game.
If you're a queen and you're looking for more bees, you hit me up.
Don't get stung.
I'm ready. I'm ready to be the best bee in your beehive and stuff. I'm ready to be the bee in the beehive.
All right, so last minute.
Last minute, yeah. It's December. It's Christmas season. I mean, we got special gifts. Buy your Junkyard Rat Christmas sweater.
And we are having a mixer at the end of the month somewhere between the 20th and the 31st. We will be having an open house party and event here in our space. So stay tuned for more deets.
You got a New Year's show, don't you? A New Year's Eve?
No, that's a laugh in itself. We'll talk about that next week.
Okay.
That'll be good. Talking about flakes. All right, guys, here we go. For us and the rat, ho, 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 or no, no, no. We'll see you next week.